Which knife is right for you? That's what we're here to answer today. In this video, we're going to run through a variety of knives from CRKT. We'll detail the specs and get to hear from each of the knife makers to learn about the intention behind each design and ultimately who they built the product for. Let's get into it. This is the Bugsy from knife maker and survivalist Kaila Cummings, made right here in the United States. It's a compact fixed blade built with the outdoors in mind. The Bugsy is forged from a single piece of 1095 carbon steel, which is known for its durability and edge retention. It's available in two versions. One version has a stonewashed plain edge blade, a micarta handle, and a leather sheath. The other, which is the more tactical version, has a black Cerakote coated blade with VEF serrations, matching black G10 handle, and a Kydex sheath. Both knives look good, and the sheaths each give plenty of carry options, so it might be the blade type that leads you one way or another. There's a fun backstory to the knife's name. First, there's the sentimental tie of it incorporating Kaila's daughter's nickname, which is Bugsy, and then there's also the inside joke of Kaila's frequent run-in with bugs during her Naked and Afraid challenges. I caught up with Kaila to learn a little bit more about her design process and how the Bugsy came to be.
When I design a knife, it depends on how I feel that day or what I am designing the knife for. But I just come in with a blank piece of steel. I throw it in the forge and I just start manipulating it until it turns into something that I want.
Can you tell us how the Bugsy came to be?
Just wanted something that fit your hand really well, that was very comfortable, that felt nice and secure when you were using it. Because I do a lot of outdoor stuff, so I do a lot of wood carving and setting traps and building forts and stuff like that. So I wanted something that had a nice, secure, comfortable grip, something that was lightweight, something that had a nice belly on it so you could do some good cutting. And then I got down to this design, and this is what I thought was pretty good.
And the final question, who is this knife for?
This knife is great for people that are working in the kitchen. This knife is great for people that are outdoors a lot. It's an all-around great knife for everybody, honestly.
This is the MinimalX designed by Darriel Caston, who brings an eclectic mix of modern and futuristic designs into the knife world. His design inspirations, well, they come from all over. When he and I were talking, he took a liking to one of my surfboards hanging on the wall behind me.
When we get off the line, can I have a picture of the surfboard? I want to look at that shape. I dig it, man.
Maybe we'll see something Mini Simmons inspired coming from Darriel down the line. The MinimalX is a modern utility knife. It's sleek and futuristic looking, and it's made out of stainless steel with a 12C27 blade. It utilizes a frame lock mechanism and opens smoothly with a flipper tab and an IKBS ball bearing pivot. The knife measures out to 5.3 inches when open with a blade length of 2.19 inches, so it is a smaller knife. An interesting design choice from Darriel is the chisel point, opting for this instead of a more traditional pointed blade.
I feel that a sharp point is really unnecessary in most daily jobs. That's why it's got that blunt chisel point at the front, so you don't have to worry about any breakage or anything like that you would get with a really pointed knife.
As far as the inspiration for the design itself, the MinimalX is the evolution of a knife originally designed for SpaceX.
I was thinking SpaceX, rocket, these guys are like warriors of technology, and I wanted to keep it simple and clean. They have a really clean look about them. The rocket's clean anyway, So it worked out for me, so I kept it really clean and simple, but I wanted to add that Japanese flavor to it also. But I wanted it to be a useful knife that they could use on an EDC basis.
So, that begs the question, who is this knife for?
A lot of knives you see, they just look like a weapon. This doesn't look like a weapon. It looks like a tool. It looks like what a knife should be, that you could use it every day. A woman can carry it, a child can carry it, big old mountain man can carry it, because it can fit all those people and be a good tool for all those people.
Right on, Darriel. So, if you're looking for an EDC and you're into futuristic sci-fi samurai designs for astronauts and others, this could be the knife for you. Here's the redemption. Now, if you're a knife enthusiast, Ken Onion is a name that needs no introduction. If you're not familiar with Ken, the list of accolades could go on forever. For the purpose of this video, we'll just note that he's the youngest member of the Blade Magazine Hall of Fame, and he's credited with a variety of designs and contributions to knife innovation. Like his field strip technology, which was first seen in CRKT's home front and now, in its second generation, in knives like the Bonafide. As mentioned, today we're going to talk about one of Ken's latest contributions to the CRKT family, the Redemption, another knife CRKT made in collaboration with Hogue in the USA. It's a great example of history inspiring modern designs, an amalgamation of the Old West aesthetic mixed with modern functions and materials. What's cool about Ken's process is the role that storytelling plays into each of his designs. This piece was inspired by the daggers of old gamblers in the West and Wild Bill Hickok's famous dead man's hand of aces and eights.
I oftentimes, when I design, I go into theme phase. So I just create a story in my head, a storyline, oftentimes a movie script or something to that effect. I wanted that kind of old gambler look, that old kind of saloon kind of vibe sort of thing. As I started refining the design, and we're getting it on CAD, and we're trying to put the graphics package on it, we're trying to do all the other things. That's where it ended up. Dead Man's Hand, Wild Bill Hickok, Aces and Eights.
So yeah, just combine an affinity for the Old West, strong imagination, and of course, decades of design experience. And voila, we've got the Redemption. Now, the blade is a single-edged dagger made of magna-cut steel with a stonewash finish that measures just over 4 inches long. You can see in my hand that it's not a small knife, but despite the overall length being over 9 inches, it manages to keep a low profile with a deep carry clip. The handle incorporates G10 scales for grip and a stainless steel bolster. The knife features a crossbar lock mechanism, and when I asked Ken about why he went with the crossbar, he asked what locking mechanism I would want if I was just going to take a knife and slam it into a 2x4. Point made. It's an incredibly strong, reliable locking mechanism. Another note about the crossbar lock is that it's ambidextrous. You can open it and close it just as easily with your right or left hand. I'm a righty, so I'll stick with the right hand, but good to know I have the option if I get a little bit more coordinated with the left. Now let's get to the point of this video. Who is this knife for?
And we all have our own taste buds, right? And you can't really pick one segment of society who's gonna migrate towards this pattern over the next. The beauty of this design in my mind is that younger generations like yourself like vintage things, like things that have that vintage or almost antique quality to it. My age, I'm kind of vintage, kind of fits right into my narrative. So the reality is, this is a broad audience sort of product. Now, are you going to buy this knife to go out and skin a caribou? It wouldn't be my first choice, but for a everyday carry, cut boxes, do regular work, as well as use it as a backup or defensive tool, why not? You know, it's solid, it's easy in the pocket, it works good for everything. The whole blade closes into the handle. It's a nice, clean package to put in your pocket. So, and I think it looks good in a closed and open position. So those are things that I go for.
If you're a fan of the Old West and want a capable knife that you can dress up or down to fit any occasion, this might be the knife for you. If you've never heard of the Provoke line of knives, buckle up, because these are the type of knives that need to be experienced in hand to really grasp. Pun intended. The Provoke is a karambit-style knife that features Caswell's kinematic opening mechanism. It's a one-of-a-kind mechanism that enables you to reliably deploy the blade with the simple push of your thumb. When I spoke with Joe, he mentioned that he started tinkering with this design after learning about the issues his friends in the Navy were having with the karambit-style blades they carried.
Would you deploy it in a way you could have it unfolded and then switch to the blade if you need to at some point? So you would have to take your hand off whatever's going on, find a blade, open the blade, and then there you are. So those guys weren't doing that at all. They were training that you'd pull the thing out. Once you pull it out, you'd open it up, and then that's the way it is. So you'd lose this whole universe of just having the thing discreetly, around just in case.
The blade is about 2.4 inches, and it's made out of steel D2 with a titanium nitride finish. The handle is made out of aluminum, and when you hold it in your hand, you can see that there was intention with each groove because it gives a real glove-like fit. So, Joe, who would you say this blade is for?
The karambit style knife is very old. It's a utility design, actually. It was an agricultural design. Primarily, it's a utility knife, and that seems to catch people by surprise. But then if they start carrying it, it's like, this thing actually is functional. This blade shape. It's a great general utility and good EDC. You can carry this thing around. It has the defensive function, but it also, just for cutting stuff, it does excel.
Because of the utility of the Provoke design and the kinematic function, CRKT also offers an EDC version of the Provoke with a more standard blade. Once you get one of these in hand, I think, the appeal is obvious, the fidget factor is crazy, and maybe it's the right knife for you. This next knife comes from Lucas Burnley out of Bend, Oregon, and is made in Italy. Questo coltello è prodotto in Italia? Sì. It's called the Squid II. For the specs, the 2.6-inch blade is made out of M390 steel. It's got an IKBS ball bearing pivot for smooth operating, a G10 handle to provide reliable grip, and the liner lock makes it easy to operate with one hand. Lucas designed the first iteration of the Squid over 10 years ago. During that time, he noticed a lot of the knives coming out were big, chunky, and aggressive. The Squid was to push away from that, but he still incorporated a lot of his tactical design background.
But when I came into the knife industry and a lot of my design inspirations were really heavily tactically inspired, when I came up with the Squid, it was actually a push away from that. So saying okay, I can use elements design elements from this tactical concept, but I can make a knife that is cute, and that plays into the name too, right? It was never meant to be aggressive. It was just meant to be super utilitarian and cool and functional.
What he landed on was this design, which carries over some of the robustness and functionality of a larger knife, but scaled down so anyone could feel comfortable carrying it. Which leads nicely into our discussion about who this blade is for.
The Squid was meant to be a bridge that anybody could pick it up and be oh, that's a cool knife. I'm going to buy it for myself. I'm going to buy it as a gift. I'm going to buy it for my wife. I'm going to buy it for my husband. Whatever it was truly meant to be something that was as broad spectrum as possible.
A takeaway I had from the conversation with Lucas was the idea of the Squid II being a compact design versus small design. Now, what he meant by this is while the Squid may be a smaller knife, it still retains a high level of utility and robustness that you may expect out of a larger design. The Squid II, for your consideration. Now, the Michaca, named after the state of Michigan and the town of Ithaca, comes from designer Philip Booth. It's made in the USA in collaboration with Hogue and is a high-caliber, scale-release automatic. Yes, I said automatic, knife designed for everyday use. Now, if you're curious about how exactly a scale release mechanism works, there are some great videos you can check out on the internet. What I can show you is that to open the blade, you slide this scale, which releases the lock and spring, creating the automatic function. Cool, right? It's a nifty and unique design, and with the scale release, there's no button or switch, so if you're not familiar with how the mechanism functions, you may have a bit of trouble getting the blade open at first. But once you get the hang of it, it's rather addictive and pretty easy to operate with one hand. Now, as far as specs go, the knife has a drop point blade that's made from magna cut steel with a bead blast finish. The handle is made of G10 to provide reliable grip in a variety of conditions. Measurements of the knife come in at about 7.8 inches when open, and the blade is 3.3 inches long. When I caught up with Philip about the design of the knife and who it's for, here's what he had to say.
Oh yeah, I think everybody. Okay, it is a 3 and not a half, but a little over 3-inch blade, not too fancy, and scale release knives have a fidget factor. Okay, and if you're anything like me, you and an everyday carry knife, it is actually what you use. It cuts boxes, it cuts string, it fits in your pocket. It will amaze your friends. I think this knife is for just about everybody that needs a knife that has just a little bit of a sense of humor, and it's truly a one-handed knife.
This is actually how Philip showed me how he opens and closes the knife, and I think he's onto something. One final note about the Michaca. If you're interested in purchasing this knife, just be sure to check out restrictions on automatic knives in your state. The Michaca, for your consideration. This is the Minnow. The Minnow is another 2024 automatic knife release, also from CRKT and Philip Booth. It's made in the USA in collaboration with Hogue, and it's the smallest knife in this lineup. The specs of this blade are very intentional. Philip mentioned that the size is perfect for fitting into the coin pocket of your jeans, and the 1.79-inch cleaver-inspired blade make the automatic legal to carry in most states, including California. With that said, if you're thinking about purchasing the Minnow, check your local laws to ensure it's legal to carry. Now, just because it's small doesn't mean that they skimped on materials. The Minnow features a MagnaCut blade and a micarta handle with stainless steel bolsters. When I asked Philip about who he designed this knife for, here's what he had to say.
This is one of the largest of the Minnows, and it has a cleaver blade. It's meant either for the pocket or for your watch fob pocket. Somebody that wants a short, fat knife, they need to also have a sense of humor. They're just a tiny bundle of fun. Mostly, I'm a happy guy, and I like happy knives, and Minnows are happy. But at the same time, you know, if you have to cut open boxes and mail and cords and all of that stuff, it's a good tool.
You know, I agree with Philip. It is a happy knife, and I've got to say, you know, once it's in hand, it's another example of a small knife not necessarily meaning it lacks on functions. So here's the Minnow. It's a cool knife and might be right for you. Well, there you have it. 7 unique knives from Columbia River Knife and Tool. For more information on each of the products we just spoke about, or to go ahead and place an order, please visit www.crkt.com. If you like this video, consider subscribing to our channel. We've got people out in the field testing products daily and delivering reports so you can make an informed purchasing decision and get the gear you need to take on the great outdoors. Thank you to the fine folks over at CRKT for supporting this video, and a massive thank you again to all the designers who gave us their time and caught up with us. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, comment, and we'll catch you next time.